Sajna Razi is a clinical assistant professor who works in the Department of Marketing at the University of Illinois at Chicago. She has academic and professional work experience in the areas of digital marketing and digital business. She's a product management or program management and does customer relations. She teaches social media marketing and business intelligence in marketing. Her research interests include digital marketing, consumer interactions with tech products, and online innovations in marketing education. She's got quite a lot under her belt, so we're excited to be able to hear from her and her presentation today. So use this chat option as a way to put any questions or comments or compliments that you have into the chat, and we will, at the end, we'll do a Q&A. So if you have any questions, we'll make sure that these get answered. Awesome, and I will, now it is 10 a.m., so I'll turn the time over to you.
All right, thank you, Darlene, for the very, very generous introduction. Thank you so much. I'm Sajna Razi. So hi to everyone who's in this session right now. And I know it's 10 a.m. Mountain Time. It's 11 a.m. in Chicago right now. So I'm joining in from Chicago. So it's kind of mid-morning. So, but again, a good morning to all of you. So I'm Sajna Razi. So I am from University of Illinois, Chicago. I've been here for almost more than 7 years now. Just to give a brief about myself, I actually was in the product and program management in the industry for many years, from almost I think 8 to 9 years, before I had this big academic bug, and I went back and did my PhD, and I got into academics. But I am a very big proponent of bringing the industry applications to the students and making them, succeed in their careers. Being from the industry, that's what I was trained on, and that's the link which I'm trying to bring into the marketing education as well. So again, digital platforms, social media, these are all my passion areas for teaching as well as research. And that's what I'm going to talk to all of you as well. Personally, I love, I think, the East Side, I guess. I've been living here more in New York and, here in Chicago now for a lot of years. So it's a great place to be in. And hopefully we are all coming out of the difficult year, which we have all had in the last, 1.5 years. So hopefully we are at the end of the difficult times. So it's a good time to be in right now. And hopefully it continues like that, all fingers crossed, right? Okay, so today we are going to talk about to smile or not to smile. Okay, so it's about emojis and the new frontier in consumer engagement across digital platforms. It's not just for consumer engagement as well as student engagement. So we are going to see different levels of emojis in this discussion today. All right, so a hi to all of you. So can I get a hi from all of you before I start the session? Let us get ourselves, a little bit interactive in here. Can I get a hi from all of you? Yes, great. Great. So yes, I am getting the highs. All right. So I would like to start the day with a nice smile. Okay, that's my favorite emoji of the day. And I'm not sure if you're able to put in any emojis in the chat window with Zoom, but if you can actually try out. So what would be your emoji right now be? Okay. Oh yeah, Brent, you could figure out. Okay, we all love the Colin emoticon. Okay, great. So we are all happy so far. Okay, Adam, you have a cat. Great. Very nice. Whether it's in Zoom, whether it's in Blackboard Collaborate, we have lots of options with emojis. So a nice smile in the morning before we start the session is a great way to start. Okay, now let's try to see this from different angles. So if you look at the pure statistics of the emoji usage. Okay, so 92% of online consumers use an emoji. Now, if you actually look around with research or industry articles, there's not much data about emojis. It's still a very rudimentary researched field, and you're slowly getting. So one of my areas which I do research on is emojis right now, and it is slowly coming up. So the information is slowly getting built up, and it's a relatively newer phenomenon. So but by the pure or the sheer extent of usage is high. So if you look at Facebook, so in Messenger without text, every day more than 900 million emojis are sent, right? And greater than 700 million emojis in Facebook posts every day. More than half of all comments on Instagram have emojis. It has become a way of life for us. Wherever we look, we see these smiley faces and all of that. But it's said that it's used mostly by younger population or less than 25 years of age. That's the study reports show that, but I think everybody is kind of adopting that, and as we go further, we might see more. If you look at the emoji usage on Twitter in 2020, you can see that it's kind of increasing across. This is just the last year, and if you look at the historical data from about 2013 to about 2020 or 2021, as we are in right now, it's just increased. And it's increased at a really a very high rate. So it has been increasing. So in 2015, this Oxford Dictionary actually said that word of the year was a pictograph, which is the face with tears of joy emoji. I mean, everybody knows this face with tears of joy, right? Very emotional, extroverted kind of an emoji, but we all use. It's a very complex emotion which we are trying to portray to that. So that's the kind of impact emoji is having on our everyday lives as a consumer. So if you look at 2020, 170 new emojis were introduced. Some of them you're seeing on the right are what were introduced. And you can see an important distinction here. With every emoji, you see different skin tones, different races being portrayed, and all of these. So again, the whole notion of being inclusive, being diverse is also being implemented in the field of emojis as well, so that we can relate to that and we can actually express our emotions better. So overall, as per Unicode Consortium, there are about 3,304 standard approved emojis now. It's a non-profit organization which is responsible for releasing these emojis. Now, apart from these, there are these new things called Bitmoji, which got really popular or made popular by Snapchat. So you have these apps called Bitmoji apps where you can create your own Bitmojis and use them as stickers in your messages on your phone or your social media. So this is kind of like an exploding field, which is really getting innovative as we move forward. So if you look at it, the top 10 emojis on Twitter in 2020, not so surprising. We all love the tears of joy one, the crying one. And interestingly, this one with the eyes rolling one is kind of got into popularity because of the whole COVID situation as well. And these are the other ones, the folding hands one and so on. So this is again by Emojipedia analysis. There has been, overall, many studies have kind of had common results on this as to what are the top 10 emojis. You might see a little difference, but overall, the tears of joy one is one of the favorites. So based on the kind of consumer adoption about this, right, how can digital platforms be far behind? So you have Facebook releasing a new emoji as a reaction for coronavirus crisis. It was a little bit of a emoji where you hug the heart and so on. So it is used for indicating care, compassion, and sharing. So that's one. And during the time of the COVID and at this time as well, some of the major emojis which were getting used were microbes. See this on the bottom here, which I'm showing. And then you had the masked emoji, and you had others as well on the top. But the two ones which are here, okay? And as for Apple, okay, so what happened is that they had this emoji which a mask on, but as we progressed with COVID, by the end of last year, you saw that Apple released actually an emoji, which is a smiley emoji where you can actually see the eyes moving and it's smiling, but with the mask on. So this was actually a progression in terms of, once we were starting to get, over the COVID, and, it was less ominous, or maybe, still getting there, but, giving a little more happiness to people. And also, very interestingly, in February this year, always there was a syringe emoji. So it had blood in it. So when COVID vaccines started rolling out, they changed it into a vaccine syringe. So if you look at Apple, you would actually see a vaccine syringe in the emoji. So can I ask all of you, what is your favorite emoji, which you use all the time in your personal messaging or on social media platforms? You can just write it down. Like if you don't, I have the access to the emoji in your Zoom. All right, there are so many of them, we've got to figure out, okay, what each of them means or understand, right? Okay. So in the earlier slides, you saw that all of the consumers are really taking to it, right? And digital platforms are getting, warmed up to it, and they are also playing along with that. Now, how can brands be far behind, right? So now we have all the brands getting onto the bandwagon. I have just shown a couple of examples here, but if you actually go into the social media platforms or even the advertisements, which many of the brands have put out there, you can see instances of how emojis have been used. One of the earliest adopters in this have been Domino's Pizza, where you could actually tweet the emoji of a pizza, and if you have all the information with them, you can get your personal pizza delivered to you. So they were one of the first users of this particular technology, to a brand's purpose. McDonald's made an interesting thing, which they did. This was, I think, in the year 2015, which they did is, this was one of the earliest ones. So they had a Good Times campaign, which they actually started off in UK. And they came out with emoji art in their ads. And these were actually put up in big billboards. So can I ask all of you, what does this say? Any idea what this particular story says? If you can just make a guess. Anybody? All right. Yeah, I think Savishesh, you have kind of, there. So if you look at it, it's kind of truckers or people who are working on the road get tired. So they keep on working, they get tired, they're very sad. Then they go to McDonald's and they become happy. That was the idea behind this particular art. Okay. And another one which you're seeing here is about BuzzFeed. This is relatively newer in terms of the trolling of the art world. You might have heard about the self-destructing painting, and it had this, there was a lot of troll on it, and BuzzFeed caught on to that and said, okay, we just got Banksy, and they associated emoji with it to show an informal tone or a fun element to it. So overall, if you look at it, so there's about 25% of the tweets with emojis get a better engagement, and about 57% of the Facebook posts get more likes, but 33% get shares and comments if they have emojis in them. So there's obviously a 30 to 50% increase in consumer engagement as well as click-through rates if you use emojis. And this is not just in social media platforms, this is even in your emails. So that's the kind of response which it entails, and definitely brands have a huge play in them right now. So if you look at the benefits and try to understand why emojis are actually having an impact. So the whole word emoji is actually come from the Japanese E. The E comes, or E, it means picture in Japanese, and the moji is character. So that's where this has come in from. Okay, so basically multiple research, I have not quoted the research here, but it has shown through multiple analysis that emojis convey more information than verbal text. So there's a lot of facial expressions and non-verbal cues which we can put out there and express more than what would happen if you write a text message, right? And also it helps to set an informal tone. So if somebody is sending you a message and you just put a smiley, it's just like smiling at that person. It's an informal tone. There's a warmth in that particular interaction. So it humanizes the communication, and it's very relevant for brands because when you are doing one-to-one personal interaction, customer service, or through digital platforms, it really is very important. And then another thing is it enhances communication without any language barrier globally. Pictures or expressions, facial expressions have no language, and that's a powerful medium. I cannot express how powerful it is because you can use the same emojis to express the emotions. There could be cultural and social differences which are coming in, and it's up to brands to be sensitive about that. But at the end of the day, it eliminates the language barrier, and it's a very effective marketing tool. And also, it elicits emotional responses. It has been really shown that more than text, the facial expressions, non-verbal cues elicit a response emotionally from the other person rather than a very pragmatic response. So all said and done, these are all different benefits which emojis bring onto the table. Okay, so now let me put the whole idea of emojis onto translate it to student engagement and success. All right, so how can we use emojis as a tool in our learning or teaching, as well as an academic skill? And that's what we are going to discuss further. I'm putting out a few ideas, which many of them I have used in my classes. And successfully, and with emojis, I've had quite a bit of success with student interactions, and how we can actually translate that into different academic pieces also. And that's the focus, as we move forward. So what do I do for emojis? So definitely emojis for communication. We have all gone into online learning. Now, before COVID struck and we all went into online learning, I've been teaching in the hybrid mode, like, 1 week I meet in campus and the next week we meet through virtual Blackboard or Zoom. So I've been doing this hybrid mode for quite a number of years now. So over a period of time, I've figured out, or rather realized that you need to have a one-to-one connect with the students, and sometimes it gets lost when we are going from one medium to the other. And emojis is a very powerful medium to actually make that connect. It facilitates emotional engagement. So it's not just engagement, it's also emotional engagement in the learning environment. So you can use it in different ways. So how I use it in my classes at the beginning of a class, and if it's an online one, sometimes when I go to campus and in the class, they all have their laptops open. We are doing some activities. I kind of open up, our discussion forum and do this emoji stuff on the side as well. And all of these are very, very effective. So at the beginning of a class, what I do is I start out with an anecdote of the day. Or something happened to me in this way, something interesting happened. My daughter maybe climbed onto the apple tree and got an apple. What was your favorite memory of this? How did you feel about it? So some little story, and ask them for what they feel about it. Okay, so it helps to set the tone of the class, and it also mimics the in-person subtle exchange of emotions. It's very powerful. Actually, I have had students telling me in person or giving me feedback, like, okay, it helps, it really sets the tone of the class and a fun, smiley on your face when you start off the class, and it's great for energy buildup. That's one. Another thing which I do is in between a session to elicit student participation and engagement. For example, in response to a question, just like what I did here, like, okay, how do you feel today? What's the best thing which you can do? You can use emojis as response to questions. So that's a great way to break the monotony as well. The other way to do it, so what I just said is, one is emojis for communication, just to get them going, brain teasers and all of that. But you can go one level higher and do emojis for engagement. Okay, I do it for a little bit of fun in the class. All right, just instead of just asking them, okay, give me answers to these questions, make it a little more contest. For example, put up a marketing scenario, all right, and put up a content or a meme which a brand maybe have designed. All right, and so how do you feel about it? What's your emotional reaction? You can use certain tools, like, for example, Instagram has actually an emoji slider too. You can actually insert that. If you have an Instagram group for your class, you can actually ask them to slide it and see where each of you are. But it depends. I mean, you can adjust this based on your class, your tone, as well as the composition of your class. Another way you could do this is there's a software called Poll Everywhere, and some of the instructors may be using it. You can actually have emoji quizzes built up into that. So that's another one which you could do for engagement. Now, these are all different ideas which you could integrate with the rest of your curriculum to actually really boost up interactivity within this space. Now, one thing very personally, right, and as an instructor, that's what I would like to just emphasize here is this is very informal one-to-one engagement. So you've got to be really fast at looking at what a person is reacting and then, respond accordingly. So train yourself to read the messages quickly and respond in first person. So if Adam has said something, okay, I should go back and say, okay, Adam, you're happy, but you like pizza, so add on another question to that. So by first person name, first person connect with emojis along with it, that's how you make the print. So you have got to adjust the frequency or tone based on the composition of your class. Now, another thing which I do is emoji games. All right, so we're going to play a game here. So you're seeing a couple of emojis on the screen. Can you decode the name of the movie? Come on, I want everybody to have I don't have any gifts to give out, whoever's decoding, but try it out. Great, Finding Nemo, we're also good, right? So it's Finding Nemo. So you can actually use emojis like this to make games or puzzles, which can even communicate your concepts. You can use it as brain breakers, you can use it as session breakers, you can use it in different ways creatively in your class. So let's decode this one. It's an easy one. Let's try to decode the movie. Yes, Silence of the Lambs, right? We would love to do this more, right? But in the interest of time, let's move ahead. So this is another idea which you could do. And even if we are really creative, we want to have this a little more fun, we can actually have marketing concepts like, instead of giving them a card or, to memorize the thing, with emojis, you try these out, students would love it. It's just like a game, it's like fun thing which we want to do and all of that. Okay, so I'm moving on to, so we actually covered emojis for communication, emojis for engagement. Now, I want to go on and do this instead of one-to-one. There's something which we could do for emojis for teams. We all do a lot of collaborative work in the online learning sessions or in campus as well. So in campus or, when we are in classrooms, what we do when, we want to boost the teams, we want to get them collaborating, we want to energize them in the class. So what do? We actually go talk to them, we give them encouragement and so on. But in the digital platforms, okay, so to have this collaboration between teams or groups, we could do something which is called the high five. I use it extensively actually extensively when we use breakout rooms. So let's say you're going on breakout rooms and discussing a case. So I go in there, I kind of look at their work and then say, okay, high five, it's great. It's, if you're not doing so well, okay, maybe give another emoji and discuss that. So it helps to work on cases together, working on cases in breakout rooms. And also, if you're doing, if you're viewing a content from a marketing perspective, you're viewing a content, a marketing example, a video or an ad, and then you can see, okay, how did this brand do? Do you think we should give them a high five? Let them do it. Within your group, do you want to do a high five or me giving a high five? All that works. I think it really gives a sense of collaboration, working as a team, and creates an informal bond. It actually boosts confidence and show that you care for the student's success. It's extremely important. We just don't want to give them a question and ask them to discuss it. That's something which I've often heard from the students and say, okay, we're just being made to discuss. No, you should have a connect with them and kind of type that back and, kind of summarize what the discussion is all about. That's where you show that you care for them as well. And that's what we are here for. So the high five is actually a very powerful one. And it's not just for classroom sessions. You can actually use it in your communities, social media communities, groups, WhatsApp groups. It's actually a powerful thing. Very simple emoji, but very powerful. Now, These were all examples of how you can use emojis to, to boost different aspects of your learning. But emoji as such is a topic of learning. We just started with discussing the kind of engagement it elicits and the kind of adoptions which you're seeing across the digital platforms, both by the digital partners as well as brands. So exploring emoji usage of brands across industries, exploring emoji usage across COVID versus non-COVID situations. You could do this via case studies, or you could use it, do it through exploratory study by students and ask them to present it. Now, this is a very new area. So, very few, if you actually look at it, there are very few case studies right now which are available on this one, and here and there you might see articles. So you might have to develop some case studies with regard to that, or maybe take an article, or maybe take an example to do that. But I think one of the best ways which you could actually make the students do it is to explore it. And I've done it a couple of times, and I think it's very powerful. They really enjoy it because it's a really good, very innovative, interactive tool which they use in a daily life, and it's very insightful as well from a brand and marketing perspective. So you have even a search engine for emojis called Emojipedia. So you could design an activity for the students to kind of work around this, find out what each of the emojis are being done, when it's getting released, who's using it, get them an activity based on that. Now, I've not specified a specific activity here, but you could create it based on how your class is set up and what your topic is. Another idea is emoji for marketing applications. You could use this as a skill. All right. Now, this is something which I would like to emphasize. Like, as I mentioned, coming from the industry, kind of, I really always try to get the the skills which you would take to the industry and actually have success there. So as a marketer, when you're training a digital or a social media marketer, you want to know how to use emojis in social media text, short form or long form content. I think I saw one question here earlier on, like, how many emojis is too many, right? I don't think there's a right answer to that, like, okay, you can put 2 or 3 emojis. But at the end of the day, the critical thing is, whom are you giving this emoji to? Whom are you trying to emotionally make a connect with? It depends on your final consumer. So if that final consumer is a fun-loving, a young person who's interested in a certain, maybe hiking or trekking, those kind of emojis and a combination of those emojis can help. But I think as a practitioner, if you look at effective tweets or effective Instagram posts, maximum of 3 to 5 emojis, max, not more than that. And that too is an overkill, but 3 to 5. Because beyond that, think about it, your brain cannot process any more emotions. If I give you 5 different types of smileys, what does it mean? We can't, process it. So from a neurological perspective or like psychological perspective, a person is not capable of processing more than two emotions at a time, 2 or 3. So I think we should just kind of stick to that. So overall, how a student can actually, learn how to use emojis in social media text. So when you're actually teaching them how to write social media text, how to write actually, with emojis, I use Mimic Social. And as part of it, I know Mimic Social as an algorithm doesn't look at emojis per se for their rating. But when I do it in class, I actually look at each of the texts individually, and I give importance to whether they have used emojis. And I give them extra points if they've used emojis and the right emojis. So you can train them to use emojis in social media text, both for short form as well as long form content. So even if you're writing a blog post, you can actually do that. Then, very interesting thing, differential use of emojis in different platforms as Instagram, TikTok, direct messaging apps, etc. There was something interesting with TikTok. Like, there was a kind of a cancel campaign for the Tears with Joy in the TikTok world, saying that, okay, that's more for the boomers and that's not for the youngsters. And TikTok is a very high pep, young group kind of a platform. And, there are other things which are getting used. So in TikTok, actually, interestingly, if you follow that. There's a lot of action going on with emojis and different forms of emojis and how it can be integrated with within a TikTok video and so on and so forth. So the use of emojis in different platforms is really getting very innovative. So you could actually use that and build lesson plans around that and also train students in it. That's a great topic. And also direct messaging apps, because for direct messaging apps, it's let's say for WhatsApp, it's increasingly being used for one-to-one consumer relationship. So customer service, customer relationship management, emoji is a very powerful tool. So this is actually, there have been multiple studies by professional agencies as well as in research, which says that when you're actually doing customer service, most of the time the customer has a complaint and they're really angry, and you could see the emojis for that maybe. So the use of emojis can help give it a little personal touch and also kind of cool down the waters a little bit. Okay. So again, differential use. So you could use it in different ways, come up with different ideas on that. And also another perspective of emojis as a skill is, if you want to do global marketing, you have to understand the use of different cultural and social meanings attached with emojis. So I think there was a question earlier on memes, right? So I could relate these emojis with memes as well. So memes is another form of content, but again, how do you address it? I think there's a strong correlation between the use of emojis as well as memes. So memes could be for fun, memes could be for social relevance, memes could be for political reasons. There could be multiple different ways, and globally it could change. And the reaction to each of the memes also with related to emojis could be different. So again, this is actually a great area of research as well as going forward. Now to answer Adam's question about whether we have seen an increase in memes, yes, exponentially we have seen an increase in memes. Now, in terms of research and data with regard to that, it's a very new area. I have not seen much research. It's more of professional agencies gathering small amounts of data and kind of reporting that. So that's what we have at this point in time with regard to memes. But again, more than emojis, emojis are much more simpler. Memes is a little more complex because it has a lot of social, cultural, global connotations in it. Because a comedy or a fun dialogue, let's say, it could be fun for somebody who's in Texas, but it could not be for a person who may be in Chicago. So there are local elements which are very much inbuilt into memes. So that's something which has to be really taken into account when you're using memes as a content creation tool. So overall, these are all different ways of looking at emojis as a skill, and you could train your students with respect to that. Another thing, which I think has a lot of power, I teach business intelligence in marketing, so where we focus on how you collect business intelligence with regard to marketing, both online, offline, and how you convert that into marketing decisions at the end. So in that, emoji analysis is actually slowly coming up as an important one. If you look at it, I think Sprout Social actually has that inbuilt into their system. There are many social media platforms who are actually coming up and saying, instead of just text analysis, there's emoji analysis. So what you're seeing on screen is I think the study done by Spark Central. I just gave it as an example. There are many tools which are out there for that. Like you could make emoji clouds to see what kind of sentiments is shown by consumer for a certain consumer service request or an interaction. So if you understand that, and then it will help the brand to return back with related emojis or to address their concerns accordingly. So it helps them to understand the consumer sentiments and get back to consumers accordingly. So that's also a great, powerful data out there. Again, it's an area which is still coming up. It's slowly getting developed. People are more getting into research and teaching on that. But as educators, these are all different ways in which we could use emojis for communication, for engagement, just having fun, or use it as an academic topic and use it for data analysis as well, and train the students for such kind of options and opportunities as we move forward. All right, so this is all from me. And if you have any questions, so that's my thumbs up at the end with a nice smiley. So if you have any questions, you can ask me, but let me ask all of you, how do you feel right now? Come on. Do you feel sad, happy, or very complex emotions? Let's see. Oh, we are all happy. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, you can put it down in the chat window. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, please put any questions in the chat. I love seeing that some people are just excited to get this into their own classroom. So this was definitely a wonderful addition. I'm no longer in school, but I love the ideas that you presented because I can know as like from a student perspective that these would be greatly engaging and just a good option for people. I think you answered the questions that were in there before, but I still see people putting in some emojis and saying thank you. So I think you definitely were able to give people some value today. But I do want to make sure if anyone has any questions that we get those addressed. It looks great. I want to let people
All
know.
right. I think everybody is so clear on the concepts that we don't have any questions, right?
Yeah, you must have
Yeah.
explained it super well. We have a few things just to cover for what's happening next.
Yeah.
One
Actually,
of
I think
them,
there's a question here which I saw about emoji analysis. Actually, for emoji analysis, what I have given here is actually there was a study from Spark Central which talked about an emoji cloud. But as a reference, you could refer to Sprout Social. Actually, it is one of the first social media platforms which is implementing emoji analysis within their kind of their suite of products. So you would actually see many of the social media platform packages or analysis packages coming up with this as we move forward. So it's actually a very new field. So you're going to see many of those coming forward. And it's not just that. There are other tools like there's another thing which is called Canva. Okay, so it's actually a research-based tool where they elicit emoji reactions in response to, let's say, a Netflix episode. So you're seeing a streaming episode, or rather, an episode on your streaming platform, and how does consumers feel about it? What are which are the characters they really identify with? What's the kind of emotion they identify with? For example, some people love, Game of Thrones characters and so on. So there's constant check on emojis and how that emojis actually play out with respect to characters and programs in the television and advertising field. There are actually packages to do that. One example is Canvas, CANVS. Okay. All right.
I just put in a link in the chat for some kind of student family business, but we got our product launch coming up on the 25th. So we're excited to present that. So if you want to learn more, I know Carly put a link in earlier that had pretty much only emojis talking about it. So she was taking it right from your lesson. And then here's some information on what's going to happen next for ProfCon. So we have another keynote speaker coming up. We have Scott Wilder, who's from HubSpot, and he's going to be speaking on how to create a T-shaped marketer. And so it's going to be a great event, but we're grateful for all of our speakers and everything that they've done to prepare for these, as well as to show up here, give their time. And we're grateful that you guys are all here to attend. We know that it's, for some of you, it's summer. For some of you, you're finishing up school, but we're grateful that you decided to come and join today and to learn about emojis. This has been really enjoyable for me.
Thank you. And I hope all of you would come out with different ideas about this. And if you would like to get in touch with me at any time, you're very welcome to do that. Okay.
Awesome.
So thank you, everybody, and have a good day, and have a good day at ProfCon as well today. Thank you, darling.
Have a good one.